Welcome back friends. Welcome back to another video session from this channel. So in this video session we will be studying regarding structure of cell membrane and as well as cell wall in detail. So here what is cell membrane? Cell membrane, or in other terms it is termed as plasma membrane. So here cell membrane or plasma membrane, it is the outermost covering layer which is most commonly observed in case of certain multicellular living organisms like animals. So here most commonly in case of animals, the outermost delimiting structure here it is nothing but what? Cell membrane or plasma membrane. So let me write it here. Cell membrane so it is the outermost delimiting structure of living organisms in case of animals. And if we consider the structural organization of cell membrane or plasma membrane, the structural organization of cell membrane or plasma membrane, for the very first time it has revealed in case of the erythrocytes or in case of RBC. So here by taking the advantage of electron microscopic observations, once when they came into existence in the early 1950s, by taking the advantage of electron microscopic observations, here the structure of cell membrane or plasma membrane, it has successfully revealed in case of human RBC or in case of erythrocytes. Structure of cell membrane has revealed in case of RBC or erythrocytes. And if we consider the chemical composition of the cell membrane or plasma membrane, so here chemically the specific cell membrane or plasma membrane, it is composed of proteins and as well as lipids. If we consider the structure of any particular cell membrane, basically the particular cell membrane, it is chemically composed of proteins and as well as lipids. So let me write it here. Chemically, plasma membrane is composed of proteins and as well as lipids. Proteins and as well as in case of lipids. And here most commonly the specific lipids which are a part of the cell membrane or plasma membrane, they are nothing but what? Phospholipids. So here phospholipids, these are the specific lipids which are a part of the cell membrane or plasma membrane. And here the specific phospholipid which is a part of the cell membrane or plasma membrane, it is an amphipathic molecule. That means it possesses or it contains two specific components. What are those? One is the hydrophilic head and the other one is the hydrophobic tail. So the reason why the specific phospholipid molecule, it is an amphipathic molecule. So let me write it here. So here it is nothing but what? The hydrophilic head. Hydrophilic head, and here it is nothing but the hydrophobic tail. Hydrophobic tail. So here most commonly the phospholipids are amphipathic molecules. So here the concentration of proteins and as well as lipids, it remains vary in case of different cell membranes. So here nearly in case of all the cell membranes, proteins and as well as lipids are observed, and here the concentration of proteins and as well as lipids, it remains vary in case of the various cell membranes of various living organisms. And in addition to the phospholipids, the particular cell membrane, it also contains cholesterol. Even in case of certain cell membranes, cholesterol is also observed in association with the cell membrane or plasma membrane. So here, in order to explain the structure of cell membrane or plasma membrane, many of the cell biologists, they came into picture. Out of these many models which were explained by many of the cell biologists, the most widely accepted model in accordance with the structure of cell membrane, here it is nothing but what? Fluid mosaic model, which was first explained by Singer and Nicholson in the year 1972. Fluid mosaic model. Fluid mosaic model was explained by Singer and as well as Nicholson in the year 1972. So according to Singer and Nicholson, here in case of the fluid mosaic model, proteins are the icebergs in the ocean of lipids. So here, in order to understand the structure of fluid mosaic model, let me show you the fluid mosaic model so that easily you can understand how the specific proteins, they are arranged in case of the cell membrane or plasma membrane. So let me arrange the things first. And if we consider the specific fluid mosaic model which was first explained by Singer and Nicholson, so according to Singer and Nicholson, here proteins are the icebergs in the ocean of lipids. If we consider the specific plasma membrane, basically the particular plasma membrane or cell membrane, basically it is composed of phospholipids, and here the specific phospholipids, they are arranged in a bilayer structure. Is it clear? So here it is nothing but what? The phospholipid bilayer. Within the phospholipid bilayer, here proteins are successfully buried here. So the reason why, according to Singer and Nicholson, here proteins are the icebergs in the ocean of lipids. So let me write it here. Proteins are the icebergs. Proteins are the icebergs in the ocean of lipids. And here, if we consider the chemical composition of the particular cell membrane or plasma membrane, as I have already mentioned you, the specific cell membrane or plasma membrane, chemically it is composed of proteins and as well as lipids. And here the concentration of proteins and as well as lipids, it remains vary in case of the various living organisms. And basically, if we consider the chemical composition of the cell membrane in case of human RBC, it is chemically composed of the plasma membrane of RBC, plasma membrane of RBC is composed of 52% of protein and 40% of lipids. And here the concentration of the particular proteins and as well as lipids, it remains where in case of the various living organisms. And the recent chemical investigations of the particular cell membrane or plasma membrane, it has revealed that in addition to the phospholipids and as well as cholesterol, the cell membrane, even it is also enriched with carbohydrate. Is it clear? So once when the specific carbohydrate moiety, when it remains in association with protein, it leads to the formation of what? Glycoprotein. In the same way, once when the carbohydrate moiety, when it remains in association with lipid, it leads to the formation of what? Glycolipid. So here most commonly glycolipids, they are present on the outer surface of the plasma membrane, especially in case of eukaryotes. So let me write it here. Glycolipids are most commonly present on the outer surface of the plasma membrane. In eukaryotes. And here the structural arrangement of phospholipids in case of the cell membrane or plasma membrane, it indirectly suggests the chemical composition of the phospholipid here. As I have already mentioned you, the specific phospholipid, it is an amphipathic molecule. That means it contains hydrophilic head and as well as hydrophobic tail. So here most commonly, here the saturated, so here it is nothing but what? Saturated hydrocarbon non-polar tail. So here most commonly the saturated hydrocarbon non-polar tail, most commonly it is present on the interior side because it is hydrophobic in nature. In the same way, the head portion of the particular phospholipid molecule, it successfully exposes to the outer side because the particular head portion of the phospholipid, it is basically hydrophilic in nature. If we consider the outermost region, so here the outermost region, here it is enriched with what? Aqueous environment. So the reason why the head portion of the phospholipid, it remains exposed to the outer side because the head portion of the phospholipid, it is hydrophilic in nature. So the reason why the head portion of the phospholipid, it successfully exposes towards the outermost region or towards the peripheral region, but whereas the non-polar saturated hydrocarbon chain, it successfully remains towards the interior side because it is hydrophobic in nature. Is it clear? And here the fluid nature of the particular cell membrane or plasma membrane, it plays an important role in organizing the various activities like cell growth, cell division, formation of intercellular junctions. Is it clear? And even in case of the endocytosis. Fluid nature of cell membrane is involved in organizing cell growth, cell division, endocytosis and formation of intercellular junctions. And here one of the common characteristic feature of the cell membrane or plasma membrane, here it is nothing but what? The passes of solutes here. So here most commonly the particular cell membrane or plasma membrane, it is an selectively permeable membrane. That means it won't allow all kind of molecules to come across it. It allows only certain selected molecules to come across it. So the reason why here the cell membrane or plasma membrane, it is an selectively permeable membrane. So here most commonly the cell membrane or plasma membrane, it allows only the hydrophobic molecules to come across it because the plasma membrane is hydrophobic in nature. So the reason why hydrophobic molecules, they are capable to come across the plasma membrane so easily. And here for the successful passes of the solutes, it takes place. Passage of solutes takes place along the concentration gradient. That means here the specific solutes, they are capable to come from the higher concentration to the lower concentration. That means it is an energy independent process. Always the energy independent process, it is a passive process. So the reason why here the particular solutes, they are capable to come across the cell membrane without taking the advantage of energy or without the investment of energy. And here the particular cell membrane or plasma membrane, it is not only responsible for the passes of solutes from higher concentration to the lower concentration, and in addition even the particular cell membrane or plasma membrane, even it is also responsible for the passes of certain solutes like low uncharged polar molecules like sugars. So here sugars are capable to come across the cell membrane or plasma membrane by taking the advantage of a specific mechanism or a specific process which is nothing but what? Diffusion. In the same way, for the successful passage of the water molecules from higher concentration to the lower concentration through the semi-permeable membrane, one more other mechanism or one more other process is involved, and here it is nothing but what? Osmosis. Osmosis, it is the mechanism or it is the process through which successful transportation of water from higher concentration to the lower concentration takes place across the cell membrane or plasma membrane. Is it clear? So let me write it here. So let me arrange the things first. Cell membrane or plasma membrane allows water molecules from higher concentration to lower concentration. Higher concentration to lower concentration across the cell membrane. And the specific mechanism, the specific process here it is termed as what? Osmosis. And here the particular cell membrane or plasma membrane, it is not only responsible for the passage of the hydrophobic molecules, and in addition the cell membrane or plasma membrane, even it is also responsible for the passage of hydrophilic molecules or charged molecules or polar molecules. So here for the successful passage of the hydrophilic molecules or charged molecules or polar molecules, here the particular mechanism, it takes the advantage of a specific protein which is nothing but what? Channel protein. So here without taking the advantage of the channel proteins, here the specific hydrophilic molecules or charged molecules or polar molecules, they are unable to come across the cell membrane, because basically the cell membrane or plasma membrane, it is hydrophobic in nature. So here the particular cell membrane, most commonly it allows only the hydrophobic molecules to come across it. But here for the successful passage of charged molecules or polar molecules, here the particular mechanism, it takes the advantage of specific proteins which are nothing but what? Channel proteins. So here the cell membrane or plasma membrane, it is not only responsible for the passage of solutes along the concentration gradient from higher concentration to lower concentration, and in addition the particular cell membrane or plasma membrane, even it is also responsible for the passage of ions or electrolytes against the concentration gradient, that means from lower concentration to higher concentration. So here in order to understand the passage of ions or electrolytes against their concentration gradient, we can take the advantage of the sodium potassium pump. So here if we consider the specific sodium potassium pump, so here always the concentration of sodium ion, it remains higher outer side and it remains lower inner side. Is it clear? And in the same way the concentration of potassium ion, it remains lower outer side and it remains higher inner side. So here for the successful passage of the specific sodium ion and as well as potassium ion against the concentration gradient, here a specific channel protein is required, and here it is nothing but what? Na plus K plus ATPase, because the particular cell membrane or plasma membrane, it allows only the hydrophobic molecules to come across it, but it won't allow the hydrophilic molecules or charged molecules or polar molecules to come across it. So here for the successful passage of hydrophilic molecules or charged molecules or polar molecules against the concentration gradient, here a specific enzyme is required, and here it is nothing but what? Channel protein. And here the specific Na plus K plus ATPase enzyme, it takes the advantage of one molecule of ATP. So in the presence of one molecule of ATP, here the successful passage of sodium ions and as well as potassium ions against the concentration gradient, it takes place. In the presence of one molecule of ATP, 3 sodium ions, it successfully passes outer side. In the same way, 2 potassium ions, it successfully passes inner side. So here it is nothing but what? 2 potassium ions, and here it is nothing but what? 3 sodium ions against their concentration gradient. And here it is nothing but what? Active transport. Active transport, it is an energy dependent process. Energy dependent process. Here in case of passive process, here the successful passage of solutes takes place from higher concentration to lower concentration. So the reason why here it is termed as what? Energy independent process. But whereas in case of active transport, here the successful passage of solutes or ions takes place from lower concentration to higher concentration. That means against the concentration gradient. So the reason why the specific active transport, it is an energy dependent process. Is it clear? So here this is regarding the structure of cell membrane or plasma membrane in detail. Then after we will be studying regarding the structure of cell wall in detail. So let me arrange the things first. So if we consider the structure of cell wall, so here cell wall, most commonly it is the outermost rigid-like layer which is most commonly present in case of certain multicellular living organisms like plants. And in addition, the particular cell wall, it is the outermost structure which is most commonly observed in case of certain living organisms like algae, fungi, and even in case of bacteria. So let me write it here. Cell wall is the outermost layer, outermost rigid layer in case of certain living organisms like plants, fungi, algae, and as well as bacteria. So here, unlike the cell membrane or plasma membrane, here the particular cell wall, it is not a living membrane, it is a non-living membrane. Is it clear? The particular cell membrane or plasma membrane, it is a living membrane, but whereas the particular cell wall, it is a non-living rigid layer which is most commonly present on the outermost peripheral region. So here cell wall, most commonly it is responsible for providing one particular size and as well as one particular shape. Here most commonly all the living organisms like plants, bacteria, fungi, and as well as the particular algae, it acquires one particular shape because of the presence of the cell wall. Cell wall is responsible for providing one particular size and as well as one particular shape to the living organism. And in addition, the particular cell wall, even it is also responsible for inducing the protection to the living organism from the external damages and as well as from the infections. Is it clear? Cell wall is responsible for inducing shape and as well as protection. And in addition to this, the particular cell wall, even it is also responsible for the successful passage of undesirable macromolecules. The particular cell wall, it acts as a mediator for inducing the cell-to-cell interactions, and even it is also responsible for the successful passage of undesirable macromolecules. And here, if we consider the chemical composition of the cell wall, so here, if we consider the chemical composition of the cell wall in case of algae, basically the particular cell wall, it is chemically composed of cellulose, and in addition, even it is also composed of some more other chemical constituents like galactans, mannans, and in addition, even it also contains specific chemicals like calcium carbonate. Is it clear? So let me write it here. Cell wall in case of algae, it is enriched with cellulose, galactans, mannans, and as well as calcium carbonate. And in the same way, if we consider the chemical composition of the cell wall in case of plants, so here the chemical composition of the cell wall, it is enriched with cellulose, and in addition it also contains hemicellulose and as well as pectin. So here the particular cell wall, even it is also present in case of younger plants. During the initial plant growth and as well as development, here the particular Anger plant, it remains in association with primary cell wall. But once when the particular plant, when it goes on growing, so here during the secondary growth or during the secondary development, here the particular primary cell wall, it is successfully replaced with secondary cell wall. Is it clear? Primary cell wall is replaced with secondary cell wall in case of plants. So here the particular cell wall, it remains in association with cell membrane in case of plants by taking the advantage of a specific membrane which is nothing but what? Middle lamellae. And here the specific middle lamellae, it is chemically composed of what? Calcium pectate. So let me show it here. So here let us assume all these are the plant cells, right? And here in between the plant cells, the specific layers like cell wall and as well as cell membrane is present. In between the cell wall and cell membrane, the middle lamella, it is also present. So here it is nothing but what? Cell wall. And here it is nothing but what? Middle lamellae. And here it is nothing but what? Plasma membrane. So here in between the particular cell wall and as well as the plasma membrane, here the middle lamellae is present, and chemically the specific middle lamellae, it is chemically composed of what? Calcium pectate. So here the particular middle lamellae, it is responsible for the successful adherence of plant cells. Is it clear? For the successful adherence of the neighboring plant cells, here the particular middle lamellae, it plays an important role. And in addition, the particular cell wall, it is capable to associate the particular cell wall layer, it is capable to associate with the middle lamellae by taking the advantage of a specific interconnecting junction which is nothing but what? Plasmodesmata. Because of the presence of plasmodesmata, here the particular cell wall, it is capable to associate or it is capable to interconnect with the middle lamella. Is it clear? So let me write it here. Plasmodesmata is the interconnecting junction in between cell wall and middle lamellae. Is it clear? So here this is regarding the structure of cell membrane and as well as cell wall in detail. And in the next upcoming video session, we will be studying regarding endomembrane system and as well as subcellular organelles in detail. So here I hope that this video will help you a lot. So if you like this video, just hit the like button and share it to your friends. And I remember you people to subscribe my channel for getting more and more videos what I make day to day. Thank you.